How's it going, my G's? It's Artifact, and today I want to give you 7 tips on how you can be more creative with your music. And the reason I'm making this video is because I still get a lot of questions, people asking, how can I make a bass like the, how can I sound like and or people just not having the right, haven't unlocked their real creativity to go ahead and make their own music without getting stuck too often. And it happens to the best of us, right? But I think I've thought of 7 mindset tips that I definitely use in my life that help me become or stay more creative with my music production. So let's jump straight into it with number 1, which is to travel somewhere new. And right now I am in Greece, in Rhodes. Those of you who follow me on Instagram or watch my live probably already know. But yeah, I think the main thing about traveling, and especially traveling somewhere new, how it literally makes you able to be more creative is because you disrupt your routine. Because I think we're creatures of habit as humans, and we easily fall into the same routine, and that's fine and that's normal. But I think we have to actively, disrupt this routine from time to time. I mean, the more often the better, really. But I definitely notice it just by going somewhere else that I've never been before. You disrupt your normal day-to-day routine, and you get filled with so many more ideas and have more of a zest and a thirst for life again. And that transpires into creativity, into your music as well, definitely. So what I would also recommend is you don't have to go somewhere in another country. You could go somewhere new, in your own country, for a day trip even. That's still the same thing. Obviously, a longer holiday is even better. But it's just a case of going out and exploring. And the thing about with going somewhere new always is if you go somewhere that you've already been to a lot, you'll still be in the same routine because you know it, and you won't have pushed your own boundaries as much. So you won't disrupt your own sort of programming, because stepping outside of your comfort zone essentially is what you need, what kind of helps me anyway to tap into your creative self. So yeah, these are 7 tips that I've thought of, and yeah, let's go outside and I'll share tip number 2 with you. But number 1, make sure you go and travel and go somewhere new. Doesn't have to be far away, doesn't have to be expensive. You can take a bus somewhere, there's no excuses. As long as you make the time for yourself. People say, oh, I haven't got the time. Well, you don't have the time because you haven't taken it. So you need to take the time, as the Frenchman said in The Matrix. So yeah, go and travel somewhere new. Don't worry about actually, recording sounds. That's great as well, taking photos. The whole idea is just to disrupt your normal routine and go and do something you normally wouldn't. And that will just make you become way, way, way more creative. So let's go outside and I'll share tip number 2.
I thought this would be a cool little stop because I really like the look of this church behind me. It looks super Greek, and there's a lot of mopeds and things going past, and people, so I hope you can still hear me. But my second tip for getting a bit more creative or tapping into your real creativity is dealing with social media, and particularly doing a social media detox if you need it. So the thing for me when I think about social media, I don't feel like I personally need a detox, and those of you who know me know I post like a maniac. And the reason for that is I'm primarily using it just to document my own journey, essentially. That's a bit of a hippie word, maybe. No, just document what I'm working on, pretty much. And nice little lady going past on a moped there. Yeah, so for me, I'm just documenting, and the reason I do that is so I have a portfolio of work that I've done that's published online I can always go back to, and most importantly, so I can reach new people that are in tune with what I do and that want to work with me. So that's the main reason why I do that, and have no shame of posting as much as I can, because I find the right people and bring them into my squad, and we can work on some awesome things together. So yeah, that's why I don't feel like I need to detox, because I just use it from a creative standpoint. I feel like a content creator, but I think when you're a consumer, things can get a bit tricky, because I think when you consume content, there's 2 things that can happen. You either get inspired and have true admiration for someone or for something that someone's posted, which is a good, positive thing, to get inspired. And the second thing that can happen is you could feel like jealousy or inferiority and negative thoughts when the algorithm spikes you with a emotion and it's just on your phone, so any time of the day your physiology can be hacked. So it's pretty mental, to be honest, how much it can affect your brain. So it's something you need to really train, but yeah, just pay attention. If you're using it, is this motivating or inspiring me, or is this making me feel negative or bad about myself, and if so, why? And more often than not, it's actually a true reflection of you, because you know that perhaps you could be putting in more work yourself to get to, be able to get to a certain level that someone else appears to be at, through the social media facade. But anyway, it's important to take a detox from it if you feel any kind of negativity from social media, because it really can hack your brain to such a deep level, it's no joke. So don't feel afraid to take a step back, and when you take a detox, focus on just you and doing what you love and what you like, and then you'll get much more creative through doing that, and your life will just improve in general. But yeah, the main thing is, I use it just to create content. I don't really consume, but if you're going to consume, make sure that you're feeling inspired and motivated and feel genuinely positive admiration for people, and connect with the right people that you want to connect with. But notice if you're feeling negative emotions, and then do the groundwork and dig deep to find out why that is, and see if you can fix that within yourself, so you don't need to feel that negative emotion if that's happening to you. Anyway, we're going to move on to tip number 3. Thank you to the church, everyone. Bye bye. Looks very Greek, doesn't it? Let's move on. So my third tip is about connecting with your inner child to become a bit more, unlock a bit more creativity. And the reason why I kind of stopped here was because I was just admiring these fortifications, and I instantly think what a great map it would make for a first-person shooter. Because when I was younger, I used to just love shooting games. I don't really play them anymore, but yeah, that's something kind of relating to doing what your inner child loves and reconnecting with your inner child. And so what I kind of mean by this on a more practical level of how it can possibly help you is, when you're like a kid, you just run around, you just do what you want, you don't care, you haven't been influenced so much by other people or society, and you're just sort of living off your instinct basically. And it's really hard to do that completely when you're an adult again. But what you can do is you can do little steps to try and reconnect a little bit with that inner childhood spirit, because if you're constantly doing what you think you should be doing based on other people's opinions or society, and not really doing what you actually would have loved to do if there were no restrictions or no rules, and you were just going all in on just doing this and then doing that and just living life to the max. That sounds really cheesy. No, just focusing on your wants and needs and desires a little bit. As long as you're obviously not hurting anyone else, or just enjoying yourself. What am I saying? Yeah, connect with your inner child more when you can. Make the time for it. Make the time to go and do what you want to do, and spend time with yourself. It's hard. I have a lot of friends, and I know a lot of people who don't like spending time on their own. I think it's a real skill that you have to train, and I do it quite a lot because I'm a little bit of an introvert. And I love being by myself, and I love just doing what I want to do, and I feel like that allows me to be more creative as well. So, not saying you have to be a complete loner or anything like that. I'm just saying take some time out of your week, perhaps sometimes, to just go and do something just for you. And then, by doing that a little bit more here and there, you'll reconnect a little bit with your inner child in a sense. Not trying to sound like a prophet or something, but it just literally will help you to be a bit more creative. Just by taking that time, you'll have more ideas that are your own, and you won't have to make a base like Dillinger. Anyway, I've got 4 more tips for you guys, so let's go and find another location here in beautiful, sunny, hot Rhodes, Greece. and move on to tip number 4. So I have to apologise in advance if it's really, really windy in the microphone here, because it's very windy here. On the northern tip of Rhodes, I think it's called Ellie Beach. Anyway, it's very beautiful, just slightly windy. But yeah, 4th tip, let's get straight into it, is do you like these videos? Do you like it when I go exploring around and talk about music? It's pretty different, isn't it? Pretty different. Yeah, my 4th tip was a serious one actually, and it's about experimenting more and watching less. And this is actually, I think, one thing that people struggle with, perhaps. Oh, the water's coming right up. Yeah, basically, if you spend so much of your time watching tutorials and things like that, and less time actually putting in the time to work on, you know, experimenting with sound design or with composing and producing in general, you're just going to have a bad time. No, you're just not going to be able to learn as much, because without, obviously, application, knowledge is useless. And I've been producing for well over 10 years, and I would say that 90% at least of my knowledge has just come from the time that I put in to, you know, trying to get better and making mistakes, you know, constantly failing and making mistakes. That's where I gained my particular knowledge. And so I think it's really important that you try to limit the amount of time you spend watching tutorials. And this might seem counterintuitive for me to say, because I have a YouTube channel and surely I want the views to be higher, and I want you to watch my tutorials. But the truth is, I'd actually rather that you watched less tutorials and focused more on improving your own creativity through practice. And yeah, I mean, the reason for that is because I'd rather have less views and you guys are getting on with making your own music and just figuring things out yourself, than you messaging me saying, "Oh, Mr. Artifacts, can you make a bass like the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial?" Or, "Oh, Mr. Artifacts, can you make a bass like Captain Jack Sparrow?" Or, "Oh, Mr. Artifacts, can you make a bass like the Lizard King Jim Morrison?" I'm only messing with you guys, but basically there's only so much you'll learn from watching a tutorial, and the more that you just actually sit down and experiment and just, you know, put an hour into it as much as you can, you know, into a new synth, or, you know, into a new technique, or composing a track, and just you've got to just put in the time and the hours into crafting your own workflow. That's the most important thing. There's only tutorials will only ever get you so far, because without application, knowledge is useless. There's no other way around it. So anyway, I'm about to have a quick little dip, and then we'll move on to another spot, and I'll give you tip number 5 of 7. So my tip number 5 for you guys is health and fitness, if you haven't guessed it already. Well, you probably saw it in the graphics, but yeah, and this is definitely a key for me to, like, be as creative as I can, but also it's I'm not trying to say that you need to be a gym rat or you need to be like a health freak. It's just like finding a balance. Like for me, I hate going to the gym, but I'll try and do like a little bit of a workout each day, and even if it's a really small workout, it's still better than nothing. And for me, I find that if I exercise my body even a little bit, it will stimulate my mind a bit more. So I'll always be in a way better mood and way more creative if I've done like a small workout. And when it comes to like the health side of, when it comes to eating, like I love food and I love to eat like naughty things. Like right now I'm drinking like lots of Coca-Cola with sugar, but that's because I'm not drinking any alcohol, so like I have to get my kicks from somewhere. But so like I always let myself have what I want, but at the same time I'll always make sure that I'll have like a nice nutritious meal, like as much as possible, with like loads of vegetables, like fish and like good stuff. And yeah, it's pretty basic advice, to be fair, but it definitely makes a big difference on how creative you are. Like if you do, you know, like put some time and effort into making sure that you stay healthy and fit. I've dramatically improved my fitness like over the last few years, just from doing like exercises at home during lockdown and things like that. And it's just definitely made like a significant difference to my positive like mindset, and through that like my creativity has been a lot better since I've started taking more care of my body. And I literally did it just from the beginning as a way to improve like my mindset, to be honest. I'm not like super I'm not super concerned with like my aesthetic, although it's nice to have a good shape. Mostly comes down to like being in a mentally good state, and taking care of your body like definitely helps with that a lot. So yeah, definitely want you guys to take care of your health and fitness first and foremost, actually, before you even sit down at the computer. You know, I like to do some exercise, you know, as soon as I can after I've woken up, you know. Maybe not in the first hour, but at least like within the first couple of hours. Anyway, that's health and fitness. With a lovely view of Rhodes behind me, and we're going to have a little walk back towards my apartment, and we'll do tip number 6 out of 7. So my 6th tip is about conceptualizing your own music more, because, by the way, I'm just in the little neighbourhood local shop, which is really nice actually. The lady who runs the place is actually from Italy, and she runs it with her Greek husband, and they're very, very, very friendly. I've been coming back to buy my cold drinks here. Anyway, conceptualizing your music. This is one of the best, probably the best tip, I think, when it comes to being more creative with your music. And when I make a song, I really treat it like it's a baby. You know, I really love to essentially give each song like a concept or a theme, and so I can visualize almost a whole storyline within the song, and I go really, really in depth with each song, you know, and think about what's influencing me at the moment, how I want to like convey a certain message, for example. And I think a lot of people don't really put as much thought into each individual song as they could, and that's why you often get creative ruts, because you don't have a like sort of underlying concept or theme. And it can be something very simple, you know, for example, an animal. You know, you could be like, I'm going to make a song themed around an octopus or maybe a dinosaur or something like that. But basically, if you conceptualize your song in some way, so it has some kind of like mental image for you, or like it could be a deeper underlying theme. Like I'm often influenced by books and things like that, so a lot of my songs I wrote, like Dystopia was about 1984 by George Orwell. But like, yeah, really just put in a concept or a theme into each song, and no matter what it is, if you have to pick something at random, it's still better that you do that, so you can like just get more involved and immerse yourself more into each song, and then and stop thinking about like, oh, like how does it need to sound, like what do I need to do, like what do I do next. You need to try and like imagine each song like a movie, and think in more detail about what sounds would fit for that kind of vibe or concept, you know. It'll give you the inspiration to find those types of sounds that would fit to your concept. And so by finding that, you're creating yourself, you know, a sort of roadmap to complete the song. So that's why I think conceptualizing your music is super important, and it's something that people often overlook, because they want to just create like popcorn, bubblegum, repeat same song, new bass line, something different, new riff, but you don't go in depth enough into each song and treat it like a story. Anyway, I'm about to walk back to the apartment. Let's crack open an alcohol-free beer on the balcony, and give you my last and final 7th tip. So aside from all the crazy cat meowing going on, I think he's leaving now. The final tip I wanted to give to you guys today for creativity is to collaborate with the right people. Now, I think we know that collaboration is a great way to like improve your sound and your skills. So I'm often guilty of this as well, in the past especially. I wanted to sort of collaborate with someone who is, you know, perhaps more famous than me or more successful in the scene than me, so I could sort of get my name out there a little bit more. But what's actually the most important thing when it comes to collaborating with the right people is getting the right person that you vibe with and connect with, and that the respect is there as well, especially that the respect for each other's time, because often, if you really want to collaborate with someone who's like sort of got a lot going on, they might not be able to get back to you, or they might just not be that interested and might sort of be leading you on as well. So I mean, I'd much rather be working with someone who's like always around and ready to work, and doesn't want to like ghost you and like leave you on red and like not get back to you until you like, if you feel like you're sort of pursuing them, and they're not sort of giving the same energy back, then it's just not the right collab. I would just move on like straight away and find someone who's more up for it and willing to do it with you. And the beautiful thing is, it doesn't really matter as long as you're going to make something great at the end of it. Who cares, how sort of well known the person you're collaborating is in the first place? Because if you make some great music, it will eventually, be heard and be enjoyed by people, and that's the main thing. And so, from my experience, for example, my collaboration with my latest female vocal artist, Rhodes, to be fair, she's not known in the drum and bass scene. And that it was just that we had such a good vibe, and that it was just, the respect was there from the beginning of both of each other's time, and it was just very natural. And if it's not sort of natural and not respectful, then it's probably worth just finding someone else to collaborate with. And if you need, it's a little bit of a sales plug, but if you are struggling to find someone good to collab with, join my Patreon, Elite Squad, on Discord. Honestly, the people in there are so great, and I'm sure one of them will probably be up for collaborating with you if you're not in the squad. I don't even know what these guys get up to. I find out like days or weeks or months later that they've been working together and collaborating, and I'm like, wow, I set up this community and now people are like collabing inside it and I don't even know about it. So that's how cool it is. So I'm not actually trying to just sell it to you so that you join. It's just literally really cool, in my opinion. But yeah, that's my sort of 7 tips for you guys today. But definitely find someone that you can collaborate with, and make sure it's a natural collaboration, and don't feel like you have to, find someone that's really successful to collaborate with, because more often than not, it's just a waste of time. If the respect isn't there. So yeah, just to finish up then, hope you enjoyed my little sort of tour of Greece and Rhodes, and some little creative tips that genuinely I hope help one of you at least. If one of you found some value in this video, then my job hasn't been all for waste. I'm going to continue to drink my alcohol-free beer, chill out a little bit, and then probably go out and get some nice Greek food. And yeah, hope you guys have an awesome day, and don't do anything I wouldn't.